Hello, this is Aviation-TV. I'm Rudiger Kiani-Kress, editor for Aviation for German business magazine Wirtschaftswoche, talking to József Váradi, the most important man for Eastern Europe. And we want to talk about a couple of questions that will concern the whole of the industry. First of all, the saddest news of the last weeks was the war in Ukraine. How does this change your company and the industry?
Well, I mean, first of all, we felt morally responsible for helping people who are coming out of the country. So as a result, we donated 100,000 free tickets for Ukrainians who are out. We try to help them reaccommodate their life. I think it's been a big success. I wish we wouldn't need to do that, but that's what happened. We also saw some demand impact in the kind of the neighboring areas of Ukraine. But after 4 or 5 weeks into the war, I think we are seeing demand coming back. So I think it's more like short-term issues, but structurally, I don't think that a lot has changed. I mean, obviously we had some capacity deployed in Ukraine and Russia. We removed that capacity and we reallocated that capacity across other markets. I would say that yes, this has been kind of an impact of a few weeks, but now I think we are seeing an alternative network being flown on that capacity, and the business is intact again.
Could there be further impact? I mean, especially the airports that are more close to the hot zone, to the war zone, like Debrecen. Will you move capacity out of there, or will that remain stable for the time being?
I think it's fairly stable. I must say it has almost fully recovered, and I don't expect major issues unless the situation changes completely. But I think then we are talking about a very different scenario, not only for those airports but for the whole of Europe. But for the time being, I feel reasonably confident that travel demand will continue to be intact and robust, especially as we are going into summer.
Another destination that you started from Germany was Balaton. Is this something like a new, different growth area, especially given the more interest in leisure travel out of Western Europe? How do you see this market, and might there be other destinations that you fly to from Balaton?
I think one of the learnings coming out of the COVID era is that people are probably more eager to discover nature, go to new destinations in seaside, lakeside, mountains, and we try to sort of move the network accordingly and come up with a set of destinations that meet demand of consumers that way. We have introduced and launched a lot of new seaside, lakeside, mountainside destinations across our network. I mean, clearly this is a demand initiated by consumers. I think this demand will get rebalanced over time because obviously people were moving from cities, highly populated areas to more space, fresh air, but clearly we are reacting on the demand.
What's your outlook on 22? You're already bigger than you were before the crisis, but can you be more specific about how that will develop, given especially the factors like rising fuel prices and maybe inflation, lower economy, and the COVID situation?
I would say 2022 will be another transitional year, and we are seeing now capacity recovering, as you said. Now we are flying capacity in line with 2019 capacity, and going into summer, peak summer will be 40% more capacity than 2019. So we are growing. We have been investing into fleet, into markets, into people, into systems during the pandemic, and I think now we are kind of seeing the benefits of those investments coming through. The business environment is somewhat changing. I mean, clearly we are seeing the post-COVID environment to be reinforcing consumer demand for air travel. So I think we are starting to see a very robust demand coming back on. We still have some hanging of COVID restrictions imposed by governments, so we need to see them removed. And once they are removed, I think we'll just see even more demand coming back to the market. At the same time, as you pointed out, we are seeing inflationary pressure on commodities, on many other areas. When it comes to the industry, fuel prices up. I think that will reshape the industry. We're going to see two things. One is that legacy carriers will be forced to cut capacity because they are too high cost, and you will see consumers who will kind of play down on fares because they have smaller budgets available to them for discretionary spendings like travel, so they will buy more low-cost airline seats than before, and as a result, low-cost airlines will gain quite significant ground and market share as a result of the situation, and I think we will be one of the beneficiaries of the high inflationary environment.
Will there be more customers that are new to the airline business and that used other modes of transport, or is it more that you take over passengers that were formerly customers of other airlines?
I mean, if you look at the summer capacity predictions and you kind of take it as a proxy for demand, the industry is expected to recover 90% of its 2019 capacity, and as said, we will be flying 140% of our 2019 capacity. So we're going to be gaining a lot of market share, but the market will likely be somewhat smaller than what it was in 2019 overall.
Coming back to COVID, one of the major discussions, at least in social media in the US, is the removing of the mask mandate. How does Wizz Air handle that, and what do you expect for the whole industry to become out of the mask requirements?
Right. Very, very good question. Well, we have decided that we would be adopting basically the country's policies. So as of tomorrow, 1st of April, if both countries of the origin as well as the destination country does not mandate mask wearing, then we are not going to mandate mask wearing either. If one of the countries at least keeps mandating mask wearing, that we will have the mask mandated as well on board. So when there is no mandate on board, basically we still advise customers and recommend customers to wear masks, but it would be an individual choice. Where there is a mandate effective in one of the countries, then we will keep that mandate also alive on board of the aircraft. So basically we are moving with the countries.
Looking a couple of years ahead, how will Wizz Air look like in 3, 4, 5 years?
Well, we have a very clearly defined vision for 2030. Today we are flying a fleet of 150 aircraft. We are looking at flying 500 aircraft in 2030, so we will be 3 times bigger than today. At that time, we will be carrying 180 million passengers, employing 20,000 people, 3-4 times more than today. So we are on the path of growth. And we think we have a great business model which has proven to be very resilient during these extreme shocks to the industry. And on that basis, we think that we have the right model to be brought to the market. That's where consumer demand is, and this is what we'll continue to follow up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.